Hello and welcome. We have a relatively recent question that we are going to discuss today. For once, this is not on BPR or, because we have done a couple of questions on that topic. This is slightly different. ठीक है यहाँ पे observe this. Respond to Spiggie's shareholders' request for work on the following areas: the building blocks model and the proposed executive share option scheme. Professional marks will be awarded for demonstration of skills in analysis and evaluation, skepticism, and commercial acumen in your answer. ये अपेंडिक्स दिया है. दिस इज स्पिगी. दिस इज सेक्टर एवरेज. ठीक है. अब Spiggy is a listed company based in Zealand and sells insurance products such as home and vehicle insurance directly to consumers. Unlike its competitors who do most of their business online, most of Spiggy's business is done over telephone, although it does some limited business online. Most of Spiggy's 3,500 staff are telephone call center operators who sell insurance products to customers, handle insurance claims, and deal with customer queries. Spiggy's annual payroll cost for the call center operators is 84 million. Anything that you believe should be included in the rough work part here, or points that you believe are important for you while
Sir,
framing the
the
problem?
payroll costs and the staff number of staff.
Okay.
So by which we can derive that what is the revenue generated from the customers for the by the employees.
Okay. So, one thing that competitors do their business online, Spiggy's business is done over telephone and some business is done online. So, this is what differentiates the company from the competitor. ठीक है. Most business over telephone, limited business online. Most of the staff are telephone call center operators who sell insurance products to customers. They must be annoying people by calling them in the afternoon and deal with customer queries. Spiggy's annual payroll cost for the call center operators is 84 million. Spiggy's objective is to maximize long-term wealth. The majority of shares are held by a small number of institutional investors who tend to retain their shareholdings for many years. ठीक है. कंपनी का ऑब्जेक्टिव है maximize long-term wealth. Majority of shares are held by a small number of institutional investors who tend to retain their shareholdings. ठीक है. Institutional investors are critical. The institutional investors are unhappy with the recent performance, in particular its share price relative to that of other companies listed in the insurance sector. They are unhappy. So what is their point of concern? What they are saying is कि यार ये जो company है, its share price is not doing well as compared to the other players in the market. ठीक है. So that is where the point of dissatisfaction is coming from. Now there are 12 directors on board. Currently each is paid an annual salary of 8,50,000. Okay, which contains what? How is the salary paid? Small performance related element. ठीक है. There is a small performance related element. We don't know what that is. आगे. Let's understand. कितने डायरेक्टर्स है? 12 डायरेक्टर्स है. Small performance related element है. In order to manage Spiggy's overall risk, the directors can choose to transfer some of this risk to other insurance companies by taking out its own insurance with them, known as reinsurance. Have you heard of this concept of reinsurance? What is reinsurance? Reinsurance means you have exposed yourself to a certain risk. ठीक है. एंड आपने किसी को, मतलब यू हैव गिवन somebody, you are an insurance company, किसी ने आपके पास इंश्योरेंस कवर लिया है, and now because your exposure to risk is high, you have taken an insurance cover to cover for the risk that you have undertaken. Think of it that way. ठीक है. So The cost of doing this reduces Spiggie's profit. Currently, around half of Spiggie's risk is reinsured this way. Okay. Now, shareholders have been told that the use of Fitzgerald and Moon's building block model for service businesses may help improve Spiggie's performance. The shareholders are not familiar with the model and have asked you, as a performance management expert, for your advice. The shareholders want a specific explanation of each of the four determinants in the dimensions block and why measuring them would help to improve Spiggie's performance. Then, for each determinant, they would like you to recommend a justified performance measure. अब पूछा क्या है? Shareholders want a specific explanation of each of the four determinants. And they have mentioned what the determinants are: quality of service, flexibility, resource utilization, and innovation in the dimensions block, and why measuring them would help to improve Spiggie's performance. Then, for each determinant, they would like you to recommend a justified performance measure. Up, tell me, Fitzgerald and Moon building block model. Okay, this question is दिस क्वेश्चन इज वेरी स्पेसिफिक अबाउट दिस. ठीक है, कि सबसे पहले पूछा क्या है कि एक्सप्लेन द components of that model, explain the four determinants, and then for each determinant they would like you to recommend a justified performance measure. अब in a subject like SBL na, the entire focus is just by using the data in the exhibit. You have to comment on that. ठीक है, बट यहाँ पे it is slightly different. It is not like your मतलब it's not like your typical SBL पेपर की यार एग्जिबिट के बेसिस पे कुछ भी आप फेक के आ गए. यू कांट डू दैट. यू हैव टू बी वेरी क्लियर in terms of how you are presenting this answer. So when you are writing this answer, the first thing you should do is you should explain what is the building blocks model. Can you tell me what is the building block model? उसमें तीन बिल्डिंग ब्लॉक्स होता है. डू यू रिमेम्बर व्हाट आर द थ्री बिल्डिंग ब्लॉक्स? बताइए. ईशान, डू यू रिमेम्बर? You can write it out in the chat box. Parth has written dimension, standard, reward. Okay. If it is dimension, standard, reward, what are dimensions and what are standards? Anything? Just 1 second. ठीक है. So first part of the answer talk about the building blocks model, that it is a way of measuring performance in service industry. And the three elements or the three building blocks are dimensions, standards, and rewards. The dimensions are split into results and determinants. Results focus on the outcome, competitiveness, financial performance, and determinants are what influences the outcome, basically the quality of service, flexibility, resource utilization, and innovation. ठीक है. Now, quality of आई वॉन्ट यू टू कॉमेंट ऑन ईच एस्पेक्ट कि क्वालिटी ऑफ सर्विस का क्या इम्पैक्ट होगा, फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी का क्या इम्पैक्ट होगा, देन रिसोर्स यूटिलाइजेशन का क्या इम्पैक्ट होगा, एंड इनोवेशन का. वॉट यू ऑल्सो हैव टू एंश्योर इज what you have to ensure is कि you correlate it with facts of the case. First of all, explain what is quality of service. It relates to those aspects which are valued by customers. And it includes factors such as courtesy and competence of staff providing service, है ना? Now look at this gazette that is published. यहाँ पे एक गजेट पब्लिश्ड है. ठीक है. The price of shares in Spiggy has fallen for second month in a row. A recent consumer survey voted customer service at the company's call center the poorest in the industry. Many customers complained that they had waited up to an hour for their calls to be answered at busy times and often ended the call before the call was answered. Customers also said that the call center staff were impolite and did not take the time to fully understand what they had called about. So, if you're talking about quality of service, this is a big red flag that the company is facing, right? And poor quality of customer service will ultimately have an impact on the competitive performance. ठीक है. Measuring quality of service will help you to improve this aspect and ultimately helps Piggy achieve better results. Now, flexibility relates to ability of the company to meet specific customer needs, which are maybe not a part of the typical product offering, but they want some customization, or they want some they want some change in the main product. Now, in this situation, try and understand कि अगर ये particular if this is a particular company which talks about you know the business is selling insurance products, तो क्या impact हो सकता है आपका? In terms of flexibility, what is it that you believe can help, or how do you evaluate whether the company is flexible or not, right? तो उसके बारे में आपको बात करना पड़ेगा, है ना? So when you are framing the answer, talk about flexibility in general first and then correlate it with facts of the case. यहाँ पे क्या प्रॉब्लम दिख रहा है अपने को? यहाँ पे customers are saying that small note at the end, customers are saying, you know what, they have to wait for a very long time to get their calls answered, and when they call and the waiting time is too long, they just hang up. They don't even uh, they are saying ki even when we talk, the people don't, or the customer service executives don't know what our problem is. So if you try to reduce the, so when it comes to flexibility, uh, ideally what you should talk about is, first of all, understand number of calls that were ended before being answered. It will help Spiggy to identify why this occurs. And it can plan resources. Flexibility here means flexibility to hire more people or flexibility to go in for a new technology when it comes to this specific aspect. ठीक है. अब resource utilization has a link with productivity, कि how are key resources utilized in the business. अब company के key resources कौन है? The telephone
Operators.
call center operators are the they are the ones who are very critical for the company. Now there could be other key resources also, like the technology and the the specific software or anything that is used to record customer details. At $84 million per year, call center operators payroll cost will be a key cost for Spiggy, right? It's a huge chunk. Now, utilization of the resource needs to be measured. So when I say resource utilization, what I'm trying to say is ki, are you utilizing the talent that you have with you? Matlab, if you have, say, 10 people, how many calls are they attending per day, right? So if ideally your time and motion study tells you ki, you should be attending 30 calls per day, and there are employees who are only answering 10 calls and resources are not being utilized properly. So you will have to talk about that, right? And you will have to specifically say that unless you do a proper allocation and utilization of resources, the financial performance will only go down. Then talking about innovation. Innovation here is basically what is something new that the company can do. Say, for example, right now you are selling insurance products by calling on telephone. Now, what can you do to change that? Or is there a new technology that you can bring in which will, give you competitive and financial edge? Technological innovations will help to improve again resource utilization, flexibility आएगा, right? So ये चार aspects है आपको explain करना है, and most importantly you have to correlate this with facts of the case. यहाँ पे very specifically the model that you are The model that you are supposed to use has to be explained first, and then ये जो बिल्डिंग ब्लॉक मॉडल के स्पेसिफिक 4 items है that they want you to talk about, then you go in greater detail and explain that particular part. ठीक है? So you need a deeper understanding of that, and do not forget to correlate it with facts of the case. See, remember one thing, even if you know sometimes your answer is a little मतलब technically बहुत strong नहीं भी होगा, but अगर you have done enough correlation with facts of the case, you will get your marks. प्रॉब्लम कब होता है, when you only write theory, मतलब आपने मॉडल तो अच्छे से एक्सप्लेन कर दिया, but you did not correlate it with Spiggy's case, then you end up getting say 1.5 marks out of 4, so उतना कम हो जाता है आपका स्कोर. ठीक है? Whenever you are applying a model, remember explanation of explanation of model first, so general point first and then correlation with facts of the case. ठीक है? एक बार देखिए इसको. आई एम नॉट राइटिंग द फर्स्ट पैराग्राफ बिकॉज दैट आई नो यू कैन राइट ऑन योर ओन. ये पार्ट आप देखो एक बार. ठीक है? टेल मी व्हेन यू वांट मी टू स्क्रॉल. वी हैव आई हैव बेसिकली कवर्ड ऑल द पॉइंट्स दैट वी डिस्कस्ड हियर. ठीक है? दिस आंसर आई हैव रिटन इन फुल सेंटेंसेस. पिछले 3-4 आंसर्स आई वाज ओनली गिविंग यू द पॉइंटर्स.
So can you please scroll?
ठीक है। फेयर।
Yes.
ओके। नाउ proposed executive share option scheme, उसके बारे में भी they have asked us something. The shareholders also believe that Spiggie's recent poor performance may be due to its reward systems. They have asked for your advice on the benefits and problems of a proposed executive share option scheme for the board of directors. To help you, you have been given an extract from a recent press article which includes historical data on the share prices of Spiggie and insurance sector average. The shareholders have been negotiating the terms of ESOS with the board for some time. Subject to your advice, they are about to approve a deal where each director will be given an option to buy 2 lakh shares in 2 years at today's market price of 1.7 per share. In 2 years' time, each director can decide whether or not to exercise their share options depending upon the prevailing share price. The director's basic salary will not change following the introduction of ESOS. अब पूछा क्या है आपको? व्हाट इज द एक्सपेक्टेशन, ईशान?
Sir, we need to firstly say the benefits and weakness of this ESOPs scheme,
हम्म।
and then we need to say that the shareholders, the current scheme is effective or not.
Advice on the benefits and problems of proposed executive share option scheme, राइट? ओके। तो क्या हो सकता है अकॉर्डिंग टू यू? नाउ फर्स्ट पार्ट, सो बेनिफिट्स एंड प्रॉब्लम्स आर देयर इन योर सिलेबस, राइट? बुक में दिया है। But just writing that won't be enough. You have to correlate it with facts of the case. ठीक है? अब बताओ। So, if you want to improve performance, see what is the objective of the business? To improve shareholder wealth. See, the directors are in a strong position to influence share price. So, how do you, but why? Why would you say that? कैसा मतलब, what would be the motivating factor for them? Can you tell me? See, if the directors put their heart, for example, if they put their heart and soul in running the business and they try to improve the performance of this particular company, performance matlab revenue and all of these points, अल्टीमेटली क्या होगा? Ultimately, if the performance of the company improves, then the performance, if P&L improves, then share price will automatically improve, right? The current share price is how much? 1.7. Last 2 years में क्या था share price? अभी it is somewhere around 1.7. कहाँ है 1.7? Somewhere here. And they think it might, I mean, it's lower than the sector average, right? एकदम suddenly there has been a decline. So what can you say about, I mean, how does it help you? Any idea? Or how does the share option scheme help you to align performance? है ना? It is, current share price is much lower, है ना? It was quite high in 2004 and it has dropped down. If you want the share price to come back to that level, right? So somewhere, you will have to first of all reward the directors in the right way, and maybe make some sort of a change in their current compensation structure. Matlab, instead of giving them a high cash component, you could change the amount of cash component, lower the cash component part, and increase the employee stock option part, right? So this is one of the benefits of using, the share option scheme. It's a long-term incentive, long-term reward, right? But what are the problems with the stock option scheme in your opinion? Is everything right or there are certain issues also?
The directors will be more uh, confident to take the risk instead of passing the risk to the reinsurance companies which they have taken for themselves because they can manipulate it.
Okay. So that's a benefit, right? But what are the problems? Say, for example, the directors are willing to take higher risks in order to achieve that particular outcome. Okay. They may, as you correctly pointed out, they will choose not to transfer the risks to other insurance companies. Why? Because they believe higher risk means potential for higher return. अगर risk ज्यादा है, तो return भी ज्यादा हो सकता है. And if returns are more, then the share price will increase. While trying to chase that figure for returns, is it possible that they will take a disproportionate amount of risk than what the company warrants? Right? Now, there are also factors which influence the share price, which are outside the director's control. For example, changes in the economy or movement in the value of other listed shares. So, all of these are, issues which are not really within Spiggie's control in any way. But share price का क्या है? Share price right now is lower than the industry average. And if some other company, if they have a different approach, if they have an innovative approach, or they bring in some variant of that particular product in the market, don't you think it's quite possible that these individuals will move, instead of customers buying products from your company, they will move to some other company because that company has a better offering. And in spite of you trying your best, if the competitor does something, the share price will fall. So the directors might have this opinion कि यार देखो, मैं I'm working very hard to improve the performance of the company, but the share price is not dependent only on my performance, right? Share price on a lot of occasions depends upon global factors also. अभी जैसे tariff on all of these points, they also influence the share price. So it is quite possible here, in spite of us putting in our effort, the outcome is not really in our favor. Because they believe that even if we work hard, we are not really rewarded for that. है ना? Because share price तो किसी और reason से भी influence हो सकता है and we'll end up suffering. ठीक है? Now, what else can we talk about? ईशान, और क्या बोल सकते हैं हम when it comes to problems of the employee share options? See, also one of the problems with this you observe, right? They mentioned that the institutional investors who are there in your company, these are all long-term investors, right? And because they are long-term investors, they might not be interested in any potential short-term benefits. उनको तो लॉन्ग टर्म का होल्डिंग रखना है. So they are more interested in कि यार, how does the share price move in the long term? Whereas the directors, in order to get their variable pay or in order to get their money, they might manipulate the performance, or they might focus only on short term benefits because they want the benefit immediately. Whereas institutional investors have a different point of view on this, right? Institutional investors को कुछ और चाहिए, आपको कुछ और चाहिए. So, naturally, these are points that will make a difference because the two approaches are not aligned. इनको long term benefit चाहिए, these people are working for short term benefits. So naturally, that will have an impact. Do you agree, Ishan?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. And so ये जो लॉन्ग टर्म वर्सेस शॉर्ट टर्म है, दैट अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑल्सो इज क्वाइट क्रिटिकल इन दिस आंसर. ठीक है, एक बार देखो बेनिफिट्स ऑफ एग्जीक्यूटिव शेयर ऑप्शंस. Here I have presented full sentences as I told you already, instead of just presenting pointers. 1 second, 1 second. Upward. ठीक है. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So also I have a question.
बोलो.